All right, we're going to check out this Ruger Mark 4 Hunter today. It's on loan by John at Boomstick Revenge. Really appreciate that. And for letting us shoot on the range today, go check them out. So this is one of my all-time favorite 22 long rifle pistols. I would say I've never got to shoot one of these yet, which is kind of true, but one of the few times I was out here recently, a few months ago, John let me put a mag or two through it. Absolutely loved it, but it's still kind of like starting over for me. I didn't really get familiarized with it. I've always really wanted one of these. The only thing that's kept me from getting them is the price. As most of you guys know, these are pretty expensive. Absolutely love the wood and stainless look, that long barrel there. I'll throw up the stats on how long that barrel is, the fluting, and then you got these kind of target sights, fiber optic green front. Then you can see your rear notch there. Of course, it has that nice little white line to line them up there. And I'm still just like drooling googly eye over this thing. I love these. I mean, the regular Marks are pretty nice, but I really, really love this Hunter model. This is the exact one I've always wanted. So real excited to put it through the paces today. Again, most of you guys, anyone who knows anything about the Mark series, 10 round capacity magazine, slide lock, slide release, safety here. These sights should be fully adjustable. Yep, windage and elevation. And then unlike a traditional semi-automatic, you pull this bolt here to chamber your round. There's no slide on it to speak of. Looks like this one's also drilled and tapped for a little mount there, so you can put up a red dot or even a little pistol scope if you want. I don't know what else to say. I don't think there's a whole lot more to know about these things, so I'll get to shooting here. Start out at 10 yards on the shoot and see here. Kind of see where point of impact's going to be. See where I need to hold and whatnot. See if it needs any adjustments on the sights. Got a half scale silhouette there at 25 yards. 16-inch gong there at 100. Or excuse me, not 100. I'm sorry, 50 yards. Right there on that steel gong. Then another half scale silhouette there, center of your screen at 75. And then I'm probably going to walk my gong back here to 100 yards as well. I'm real curious to see how I do with this thing, especially out there at 100 yards. I've recently reviewed his Browning Buckmark UDX. It was a nice, fancy, snazzy model like this, real high-end model. Absolutely loved that thing. It was a 100-yard freaking tack driver just with the iron sights. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description. You can go check out the review video on that. I'm hoping to eventually pit those two head-to-head. I think he has a Smith & Wesson, maybe a Victory. I know he's got the Model 41. Have that coming up as well. And so maybe eventually just do like a comparison video of all of them side by side in one day. But anyways, if you missed that Browning Buckmark video, check that out. Absolutely love that. So hopefully this thing's going to shoot just as good for me today as well. And I can't remember if I said it already, but I feel kind of weird putting this cheap stuff through it, but this is what I got to shoot today, guys. So that's another thing too. Hopefully the ammo is going to get it done for us as well. Obviously this is not, you know, targetized or accurized, whatever, ammunition, match grade, what have you. This is just cheap bulk pack stuff. And in the Buckmark I used a Gila Super Extra, which is kind of like my go-to bulk stuff. Shoots pretty good and pretty reliable. So I'm not sure how this stuff compares, but we'll get a decent idea out here 10 yards on this target what kind of groups I can expect with this thing, with this ammunition. So, but I'm expecting pretty good accuracy even with this cheap stuff, but obviously it's going to do a lot better with some match grade stuff. I'm just going to freehand it here to start at 10 yards, and then I'm probably going to come by the back side of this picnic table here and we'll shoot off a bag at 12 yards, see if it'll tighten up our group some. But to start, just freehand here. All right, not too bad for first shots. Like I said, I put a mag or two through it a few months ago, but not at all familiarized with it. So seems like it's averaging just off to the right for me, at least with those bullets. So I think maybe a little bit high too, but let's go back on the other side of that picnic table and I'll shoot it off a rest and see how much we can tighten this up. I'll just go for this dot over here. So obviously we got last round hold open there. There's your mag release, a little 10 round mag, and then to load it, obviously you just push them down in, but it's pretty stiff. You're going to want to use this assist here on the side. You pull down on that to slip them in. And the slide lock, slide stop there works as well for chambering around if you so desire. Do a little 5-shot group on that right dot, as I said, zoomed out, and then I'll zoom you guys in and do another 5-shot group on the left dot. That's pretty good. Well, I gotta say, I mean, it's only 12 yards, but I'm pretty impressed with that cheap Armscore bulk pack. It's about a 1-inch group there. Obviously I wasn't trying as hard as I could, you know, pretty rapid shots, I guess, for trying to print tight groups. But that's literally about a 1-inch group there, maybe a hair under 12 yards. And you see it's definitely off to the right for me there. There's our other 5-shot, again, about a 1-inch group. These dots are not 1 inch, they're smaller. I can't remember what the size on them. It's like 5/8 of an inch or 3/4 of an inch. I've measured them before, but that's smaller than an inch. So these are about 1-inch groups down here at 12 yards. So, and again, you know, I was shooting kind of fast, and if you use match grade stuff, it would tighten it up even more. I would guess that taking your time and using better grade stuff, you could probably just about shrink that in half. So about dime size groups capability, at least, down at 12 yards here. Pretty good. So just wanted to show you guys the trigger on this real quick. I got an empty brass case in here. That way we're not dry firing this guy. Don't really like dry firing target pistols. I know some people say don't dry fire a 22 pistol regardless, but so I do have an empty brass case in there. I was surprised this trigger, it's not super light, but it's not heavy. It's, I don't know, we'll see here. I'm thinking like about 4 pounds, maybe 3.5. I'll let you know here in a second. But it also has a little bit of creep. It's not bad, and it is super smooth. But that surprised me a little bit. I guess I kind of expected a little bit lighter trigger and more of a crisp break, but it is what it is. But obviously down there didn't affect my accuracy any, as long as I pull through nice and slow. Well, at least off the bag there. So again, it's not empty, but it has a once fired shell in there, that we're not dry firing this thing. I spun it to where the firing pin is going to hit a nice fresh patch of brass there on the rim. So here's your trigger take up, which I guess that's kind of significant for a target pistol as well. Decent amount of take up there. So we'll try to capture the pull through for you guys. Applying pressure now. Should have been able to see a little bit of creep there. There was a little more, and then the break. And yeah, it's feeling like, honestly, about 4.5 pounds. Like, it's not super light for a target trigger, and it does have a little bit of creep there. So I did a few more times off camera. It's not quite that heavy. It's about 3.5 to 4 pounds, but I would say it's probably closer to the 4-pound mark than it is the 3.5-pound mark. Alright, so go for this half-scale silhouette down here 25 yards. Then I'll go out to my 16-inch gong at 50. And then that half-scale back there at 75. And then I'll move my gong out to 100. All right, so obviously the gun has no problem doing it. I'm missing a few there. I'm noticing that big, long, heavy barrel is making that pistol a little bit wobbly for me. I'm sure the pretty straight, streamlined grip there doesn't help. And if you had something a little bigger to hold on to, or some finger grooves or something like that, or not polished, it might help a little bit. But I definitely noticed like the nose of the thing wobbling around on me a little bit, just freehanding it there. So that's causing some of my misses there. So I'm going to shoot off a bag here. Go for that guy at 75 yards back there, which again, that's a half scale silhouette. So shooting that at 75 is the equivalent to shooting a man-sized at 150 yards as far as how large it looks here at 75. Not quite sure where to hold out there at 75 because obviously we've only confirmed anything on the target out here at 10, 12 yards. So I'm just going to start aiming 6 o'clock on that. And again, we know it's a little off to the right for me, so. I'm going to review the footage, see if I can see maybe, excuse me, where those were going and adjust my aim so we can get all hits. Which again, the rear sight is fully adjustable for windage and elevation there. Alright, so it looks like, best I can tell, low right, which is about what I expected. I was aiming again at the very bottom of that 6 o'clock hold, so I'll bring it up a little bit, about halfway up on it, and then aim a little off to the left since it's hitting a little right for me. Alright, so try to hit some of these spinners down here like John always does before I walk my gong out 100 yards. So these ones up here, 25 yards. See if I can hit the tops that are like half the size. Alright, go 50 out there. I don't know how well any of those will spin. Guess I'll go for the big one on the right. Alright, I'm quitting while I'm ahead, and that's a very small target out there at 50 yards. It's about 1/3 the size of that front sight there, so pretty dinky thing to be aiming at 50 yards there. But, alright, I'm going to walk my gong out there 100 yards and see if we can get some hits on that. Alright, we're at 100 yards here, and I'm using some Kentucky windage. I just took, get that to focus, I just took 5 shots off camera to practice and see where I need to hold. So I'm having to use Kentucky windage to hold off to the left. Plus it would really help if that thing was painted, because by the time I get the sight kind of on it, it's kind of disappearing. It would help if it was real bright white, but I forgot my paint. So I wouldn't hold whatever group I get down there against it. Clearly this thing's plenty accurate enough to make these 100-yard shots, but they might be kind of like here and there because of having used Kentucky windage with this thing shooting off to the right, and the fact that I'm having a little bit of difficult time seeing the target down there because it needs painted up. And again, sights are fully adjustable, but I'm shooting this arms core crap, and that is not what John shoots, so I do not want to move his sights because it's sighted in for whatever ammunition he uses. So I'm just using the Kentucky windage, having to aim off to the left side there. All right, there we go. It took me a few tries, but got a bunch of hits down there at 100 once I found where to hold. And once again, obviously, should do even better if you were shooting some match grade, not this cheap bulk arms core crap. So that'll do her there. I don't know what to say other than I'm absolutely in love. I'm really loving these target pistols. Just how stinking accurate they are is amazing. I have no complaints. Other than, like I said, I would prefer if the trigger didn't have any creep, as maybe like half pound to a pound lighter, but I'm sure somebody sells trigger kits for these. But I mean, obviously you can see there, if you do what you're supposed to do and pull through nice and slow and all that, you can still shoot it plenty accurate. But that's the only thing I would change. I would like a little bit better trigger in there. But yeah, I'm super impressed. I mean, we're shooting inch groups down there without really trying, 10-12 yards with crap ammo, and getting it out there 100 yards accurate, no problem with the iron sights. And I could barely see my target, and I was having to use Kentucky windage, and it still was no problem, even with the cheap arms core. So again, if you guys missed it, check out that Browning buckmark video I did. It was a long stainless model like this. It was one of the higher end up models. I was absolutely in love with that thing. I like this one just about as much, but I think the Browning had a better trigger on it. Like I said, maybe in the near future, do a comparison video between this and that Browning. And like I said, I know John has a few other target pistols we'll be trying out at some point, and maybe put them all together. If you guys want to get any of the products you see me use in my videos, like my steel target out there, target stand there, paper targets I use, shooting bag, way more, links to all that in the description. Thanks for watching as always, and I hope to catch you on the next one.